We are so happy to have you on with us today because, well, speaking of smart and dapper and all things good and stylish, this show was so cool and it must have been just a joy to work on, right?
It was an absolute treat, honestly. We'd never done period drama before. So we've watched period drama, but to actually get to score it and be part of such a bold production, these incredible women, their stories, cross-generational, kind of really interesting, gritty stories about what it is to be a mother, a daughter, a friend, a sister, and yeah, it was an incredible journey to be on.
Yeah, we were
Mhm.
pinching ourselves, definitely.
Yeah, because although it is a period drama, at some points it doesn't feel like it, especially in their conversations, right? So it makes it a little bit more, I guess, appealing to these times or to modern people, right? Which I think other ones, other period pieces kind of, that's where the disconnect sometimes is, right?
Yeah, I think that was very much a deliberate
Mhm.
intention also of the amazing writer, Catherine. Everything like in there is so modernly written, even though it's set in the 1870s. So, even when you see the girls kind of giggling in the back of a carriage, it almost seems like they're just hanging out in the back of an Uber on the way home from a night out, So it all,
English sheep. A bit
yeah,
Paris.
exactly.
We've all done that at some point.
No. Well, it makes you kind of wonder too, of course, we look at historical times, we look at now, and we haven't changed all that much in some ways. And especially socially. So I think you'd like to think that, we probably could understand and fit in with those times better than we think, right?
Well, the story of women and autonomy over their bodies is a very current, especially in the United States, but globally, it's a very current topic, and the idea of having autonomy over your choices, having to hide and mask, and then just really, eternal topics of like the human condition. What does it mean to have these friendships and betrayal or um and just live a fun and free life. I think all of these storylines. When I remember when we were first watching and reading the script and watching the series, Ashling and I were texting each other because we were in two different countries, texting, oh my God, I totally relate to this. Oh my God, we related to various themes. And I think it did so well with especially with a younger audience because they related to those themes as well.
Hmm. And so, how much did you get to see beforehand? Because I know, with composers, sometimes you get the whole thing, and then sometimes you get little pieces, sometimes you get sketches, sometimes you just get a script. So, where was it in this?
Well, for this one, it was quite interesting because we were really responding to it in real time. Like we got the first episode and had some time with that to kind of, get to know the world and figure out what all these different characters would mean musically to us. But then at the same time, we didn't know what was actually going to happen in the story. So, I think by episode 3 or 4, we were so hooked that we were just like waiting for them to upload the next cut so that we could see what we'd be working with. And oftentimes there wasn't that much time between us receiving the cut and having to deliver the score. So, it was a pretty instinctive process, which was a gift in some ways and stressful occasionally in others.
Yeah, I think you hear it in the score actually that we're reacting together with the audience who are also watching it because the score, we start off quite sort of flowing with string textures and pianos, and we build these themes in the first three episodes. But then we were like, hang on a minute, this is getting darker. And then the stories are getting grittier and the performances become much more sort of up close to the camera, and it feels like we're really getting to know the core, the inside of what's going on in these girls' minds and in their lives. And so in the orchestral section, suddenly we were like, okay, let's ditch the violins. Let's just go much more darker with the cellos, have more cellos and double bass, a few more electronics, and really make it a bit darker and grittier. And then by the time episode 8 came round, you know, a lot of the score was quite minimal. And then you just have this epic 8.5 minute cue at the end, which was just kind of like the Reservoir Dogs version of
Yeah.
these girls as they're crossing the lawn. And we're like, okay, let's throw everything at it. All the themes come back, but they're much bolder and stripped back.
Hmm. Well, and a lot in what you do is a lot more energetic than people might think, especially if you go and listen to your albums as well, too. So because a lot of times, with composers, I think it's maybe a more delicately paced, but you guys go all in, right?
Wait till you hear the third album.
All right, that's what I like to hear.
It was
What you're working on right now, right?
yeah, definitely. And I think, we also, because we played our stuff live, we were very keen to make something that, was bolder, I think, especially, as two women. So I think that also translates into the way that we score, is that it's very much about just being present and being there with the characters themselves.
But also it suited the narrative. I think that's the key. It
Yeah.
suited the narrative, and we had to be sort of bridge between that classical world, which we did have it with with our instrumentation, with the strings, with the piano, and we do have these moments of really melodic kind of beauty. But ultimately, we have to provide that bridge between that beauty that you see on screen and then also the bold modern soundtrack that Matt Biffer and Stella they put together. And that either licensed tracks or that that Stella wrote especially for the show. You've got these bold women with incredible lyrics, and then you've got people like Taylor Swift in the show. So our score, we didn't want something that sounded, we wanted something that definitely portrayed that more classical world, but we didn't want something to sound like it was two completely different worlds. And there were some parts where Stella had written these tracks and we needed to provide a transition. So we were working with stems of these tracks, and the score was really doing the job of like gluing everything together. So hopefully when you're watching it, you don't even know when score ends and suddenly there's a track that starts. So that was a real challenge for us and really exciting. And I think it pushed us out of our comfort zone of a sonic world, that like you were saying in our first two albums, it's probably more polite than we actually did for the Buccaneers
I
series
think
one.
in a weird way, it gave us the confidence to step to step
Mhm.
into the boldness with the characters. And we were just so incredibly lucky also with it, not only the stories and the narratives, but just all the incredible people that worked on this show. It was like all round a really inspiring experience. And I think you get very motivated when you're working with such talented people and that are so driven and have such a vision and are um so bold in their choices, and that in itself was really inspiring to us.
Hmm. Well, and what you do is inspiring to other people. That they're looking at what you do and thinking, "That's so cool. I want to do this. Want to do some live performances and score some things, and put out great albums and soundtracks." And so, what kind of advice do you give to someone that wants to get into what you're doing, and do it so well?
I think there's two things, isn't there? Because there's like develop your ego so you know what your artist sound is, so you know what you're bringing to the table that's true to yourself. And then at the other side is like leave your ego at the door so that whatever you then do to picture is supporting the narrative and finding that sweet spot where you feel true to yourself um, in what you're representing musically, but also ultimately it has to serve the picture and it has to be, it has to tell the story. And whether that's underscore or providing boldness, it has to be true to the picture.
Yeah, and I think just trying to learn from as many people around you as you can, whether it's assisting or through mentorship or through just being friends with somebody who's doing something that you want to do, and like asking other people for their workflows and advice. I think there's just so much to always be learned from just having open ears and to an extent open arms, and just kind of really getting inspired by everyone around you. And I don't know, that still inspires me all the time, just everyone else in the industry and seeing
Yeah,
how
and the
other
learning
people
doesn't
work.
stop. And yeah,
Yeah.
follow on, the learning doesn't stop. Like for this was the first time we'd scored a period drama. It was the first time we'd scored a series. And we both asked friends, colleagues, and people who are, had sort of years of experience in this world. We asked them all of those questions that Ashling just mentioned. So
Mhm.
I think developing your sound though is really important because there's so many composers and there's so many people, amazing composers writing incredible music. And it's always like asking like why are you doing, like what can you what can you bring to, or what do you have, you know, in your own experience that you can bring to the table? Because that's also not about, that's not about experience in terms of years. That's just everyone has their own unique story, and you'll interpret things in your own unique way. And I think developing that is really important.
Yeah. Now, music and film and TV are two the couple of the toughest businesses that you can be in. And you know, as artists, we're notoriously uh, hard on ourselves. And so, what do each of you keep in mind to kind of keep you on that right path, even when things are tough?
Oh gosh.
Oh, like what keeps us sane?
Yeah, yeah.
Like gardening, like doing
Yeah.
something different. Spending time with friends and family is really important, and seeing, like, always seeing the bigger picture. Like, anyone who can, you know, anyone who can make a living from, you know, scoring to picture or to doing music is like, that's like a massive blessing, but it's also like, it's kind of like a curse in some ways as well, because you know, I don't, there's no easy
Like
answer.
you don't want to make your world too small, I think, because it's very easy to be sucked into the bubble. And then, you know, this if you let the stress, I think, of those kind of projects get to you without seeing the bigger picture and taking a step back, then you'll drive yourself crazy. And at the end of the day, I think, you know, like Anna says, spending time with people who actually aren't in that industry, who don't care whether or not you've made a deadline, who don't care, you know, as much about the, oh, you know, who cares about the little things in a very different way. I think that's what we're trying to say, both badly, but
Oh no, no, not at all.
It's a good
Well,
question. It's a good question.
it's a really good question. If
yeah.
anybody has better tips, let us know.
I'm sure that was our cue for saying something like about mindfulness and meditation or
No,
something. I mean,
no.
I know, but then I was thinking, how often did we meditate when we were in the thick of it? I
no.
Oh,
mean, not
You know what?
enough.
Taking a breather though, going for a walk, you know, and
yeah.
clearing the head, and speaking to your family if you have family, or speaking to your friends
Mhm.
about something other
Or your
than,
dogs, if
you
you have
Yes.
know,
dogs.
just talking to your dog.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. Well, you know, my co-host Drew Pearson over here in American football is a legend. He caught the Hail Mary, went in the Hall of Fame. Of course, we all know the Hail Mary term now, but he wanted me to make sure I asked you your Hail Mary moment, which is that moment in your life or career where you just had to go for it and it worked out for you. What do you suppose that was for each of you?
Oh God. I hope there's still more coming.
Yeah, of course. There
You
might be a
know?
couple, or maybe not
Yeah.
yet.
I don't want to say I've had mine yet.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a
I
fair.
I remember like I took a risk actually when I was in my early 20s, and it was actually due with the States, where I was in total, had complete overdraft. I'd used up all my credit cards, and I got, and it was for an American band called Trans-Siberian Orchestra, who are like this
Yes.
heavy metal Christmas band. And they asked me to audition, and then they said that I was in the final three. Um, and I had no money, and I had absolutely, and I remember maxing out. I think I lied to my bank to get another loan so that I could pay for the flight to go out. And I was like, I just need to do whatever it takes just to get there. And I took that risk, and I got the job, and they refunded my thing. So it was kind of, and it was a real feeling of like, oh my God, I almost didn't do it, because I almost didn't believe in myself, and I almost didn't want to take the risk, and I almost didn't. And it's like, sometimes it's when you really jump off into the deep end because you have this little niggling feeling. I think if you have this
Mm.
niggling feeling inside you, then you should go for it, and sort of have that faith in yourself, and you know, and the outcome. Because to live with that regret, because I've had loads of those other times when you slightly think, oh God, I could have done that, I should have turned up, or I should have, like, and that's like, those memories stick with you for, you know,
Yeah.
for a lifetime. So I think always just like taking risks is a good thing, I think,
Yeah.
sometimes, and we should do it more, I think.
I think we've both, you know, we also became friends probably because we're both quite big on risk taking and you know, and having like traveled and like trying to defeat things against the odds. So I definitely think, you know, Anna's story in itself says a lot about the kind of person that that she is. And I think we each have that in our own way, and that makes it, that keeps you moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. Well, before we let you go, of course we is so excited to see whatever you got for us. We know we got the new album coming, and of course the show's amazing. But what else can we expect from you soon? And also, will we get some shows over here in the U.S.?
We'd love to come to the US with AVAWAVES. I guess, we're just finishing the album, and then we go straight on to starting to think about series 2 for Buccaneers. That's the next sort of 8 months of our life is going to be that. And we're already talking, earlier today, we were talking about, which themes to develop. We can't wait to have the meeting in the next couple of weeks with the production team, hear about their ideas, learn about what's going to happen to the girls. We want to know what happens in series 2. So that's going to be our focus probably for the rest of the year.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, we're so excited for both of you, and can't wait for even more. So that's great news to end it with, and I appreciate your time. Look forward to talking to both of you again very, very soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
Okay, thank
having
you so
us.
much. Okay, bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye
Take
bye.
care.